Alright boys and girls, and welcome back to another building video. This time we're revisiting an older design of mine and bringing it back into 2023 with all the new building tech. The original design centered around a stability override bunker mechanism, and I'll let the old me explain it to you guys.
And for anyone wondering what stability override is, here it is. And I'm sure you can see why this is going to be incredibly overpowered.
Oh, how the production quality has improved. Now that we know what the bunker is, let's move on to the tour and show you exactly how we implemented it. And of course, we're starting outside a Satori Disconnectable. This one is freehand bunkered, so it's a total of 8 rockets to get to that DC, making it nice and hard for people to get privilege in our base. These of course overlap over, so even if they get the main TC, they can still not break our override bunker. Disconnect like so, and then you can reconnect like so as well, which is great. And that bunker of course can be used for storage too, and there was a battery there as well. It connects over to a shop with a couple of beds inside. This is just an extra respawn, and of course that shop is drone accessible and food accessible. You can make that square whatever you'd like. It's just so we can spread privilege. However, the gatehouse connects at the top, so that's why we had to connect it like that. It's kind of weird. If you like building and you're looking to improve, my Discord is a wonderful place to be. We've got multiple great builders, including me, to answer any questions that you may have, an extensive moderator team, and if it's my building style that you like and you don't want your base layout to be visible on YouTube, then you can open a ticket and look into getting your own custom base design for your own personal use. Cheers lads, let's go on with the tour. Into the gatehouse, we have windows beside our furnaces to watch when the Howl breaks, little peeks to see if anyone's laddering up the base or over the back. Exiting out, we can see the turrets cover the funnel really nicely. Once you get these turrets up, this is such an annoying compound to play around in unless you're the base owner. One extra turret just to make things even harder above that gatehouse, and in total, the base has 4 entrances, 3 mobility chutes, and 1 way into the actual main core. The breach peak section watches behind the furnaces, so when those high walls pop, you can make sure nobody's running up behind. You can also watch for anyone laddering up too, which is super useful, and we can be funneled even further around into one of our mobility chutes. As I said, there's one of these on either side, and they go straight from compound to roof in seconds. And of course, you can add in some bags, boxes here. There's potential for respawns and little bedroom areas throughout that mobility chute, and it's all the way to roof, as you can see, with an ankle bite or 2, which is great. And then we can drop all the way back down and loop right back in to our front door. Run around the compound and we're in. Front door is pretty simple. It leads single door into a ramp with a couple of peaks into that compound again, making our base nice and defendable. Leave window glass on there while you're not using them, and then from there there's some drop boxes above. In front of us is our jump up and our drop down into starter. However, we can also wrap all the way around towards some more drop boxes, spaces for deployables, and our bunker open spot. In this area here we have even more boxes and loot rooms, and if you add in a square ramp connected to that high foundation at the bottom, you'll be able to pop all 3 triangles as I showed in the intro, exposing some of our hidden loot rooms where you can store some of your best loot in here. Those 2 triangles will pop off from there. I'll just demonstrate it again. I'm sure you're familiar with the bunker at this point. Some of you guys might call it an offset bunker, but the stability override bunker is its true name. And as we wrap all the way around, you'll notice there was one more triangle here that's now missing, and that's part of the bunker mechanism as well. And it's our drop down into starter, and we start our base out from a half egg. Still plenty of space in the beginning, and of course it's a nice starter to expand from too. Over here is our main tool cupboard with 4 boxes, space for bags, workbench, and everything you'll need in a starter base. And then we can jump up and we get some ankle biters into drop down bedrooms that we have from the roof. The way we set up this 3rd floor is really nice. All the bedrooms are completely separated and they need to be accessed from roof, so it's highly likely that no raider is going to take out all of your bedrooms. This really allows for a lot of defense, and each bedroom comes with an ankle biter, a box, and of course 2 beds, which is great. Ankle biter up onto roof, and then we can exit out, and you can add a shotgun trap in there to help make sure you don't lose that bedroom, and then we're up onto our roof. This is another new peak. I guess it's kind of a reverse of the scissor peak, and it's another thing that comes with the 4 square funnel wall, and it's a nice angle there that cannot be laddered. You can't drop down or anything like that, and we move across to the offset peak here as well. Really nice angles into our compound watching downwards, giving us some good head glitches, and those half walls keep us safe from anyone far away, so we can focus anything down below. A couple of angles to look far away as well here, which is pretty nice. Gives us that crouch peak, and we've got 3 turrets covering the roof nicely, and they watch above the roof and down inside into that chain link bed. You can open up these doors and shut them at your leisure, and if you need extra defense, of course, keep them closed. And that's all 3 turrets watching the roof nicely. More chain link in the middle. 1 windmill should cover everything, but of course you can add more, and your battery spots are down in the bunkers below. Now we'll go ahead and break down what this base costs to build. First of all on screen is the total build cost. Second up is that build cost in box amounts, and lastly is the total upkeep spread between 4 TCs, the main TC holding the majority of that upkeep. Hopefully boys and girls are a fan of this base, and if you are, stick around to find out how to build it. Alright, let's throw down our half egg, and that's going to be our starter base. We have 1 square here for the TC and the boxes, and then those 2 triangles in the square is a bit of a wraparound. To that central jump up on that middle triangle, Get the jump up there, and that will help you carry through the shelf into our loot room, making sure you place the TC where I did to be able to do that. Then from there we jump out towards one of the squares like so, adding in a half wall double window for that peek up later on into the build. And now that we've completed our starter base, we can walk back in, throw that door on to seal up the starter, add in a wall and another door or two, and we can go from here, creating our jump up to second floor. Dropping down straight off the front of the base, adding in an extra square. Then we're going to be adding down a roof ramp here, but before we do that, we're going to be adding in a couple of foundations, because they're going to be useful later on in the build. However, if you don't have the DLC, then those won't be placeable with the standard metal roof. You can see there we would have issues later on, so that's why we're doing that. Make sure you remember to do that, or else you're going to have to spend a tenner to get yourself the shipping container skin. Get around it later on. Pulling through a half shelf there, so we can get our drop boxes above our entrance. Base is looking kind of funky right now, but that's the expansion. We'll wrap around this little corridor here towards some more drop boxes on the square. Build out for that square there so we can get our drop boxes in. First floor is honeycombing, and second floor is that loot room with the ramps and the windows, so technically it's still honeycombing too. And then we can continue the wrap around towards this kind of flatter surface. We're going to build out two triangles on either side. Those are going to be part of the hidden boxes. We honeycomb the first half of this. Second half is space for boxes. You can see we're doing a half floor in there. And we're going to be adding in a triangle frame at the top, so we can access those boxes with the bunker. The bunker has a bit of a small build out now. It involves coming out with some triangles, coming out with some squares. You know the gist. We're going to add in all of our frames in the 3 triangles that break before we set up the bunker to make sure we're not accidentally mixing up our sockets. And then from there we can do a 2 square build out followed by 7 triangles. Everything can be broken apart from that square, and we can return back to base with our squares. Bit of a reverse build out, doing it that way around. And once we've done that, we can repeat the process and do the exact same thing again. So it's a total of 14 triangles. You can do it all in a oneer. You can do it in 11 and 3. As long as you've gone out a total of 14 triangles, get onto the maths teacher to help you figure out the rest. But basically, as long as you've gone out 14 triangles and returned back with squares, should be good to go. Square in the middle should be not possible to place. We're going to add in a frame from above, and then we're going to confirm that we do have 2 new slots now available. Well, a 3rd slot around the back here. 3 new slots available to place triangles inside of that we did not previously have. All the stabilities on these should be in the single digits. If they're not, we have something to be worrying about, and they should all pop already at this stage. If they didn't, go back to step 1 and start doing that build out again. Something must have gone wrong in your maths. It's okay. Double check that they're not replacing, and only then maybe we upgrade everything now that we know it's all working. There we go. Seal that up with the floor. It doesn't really matter about that floor there. It's the frame that we don't want to break. And we can add in the combing on the back here, and we need to make sure we're doing a raised triangle foundation. It has to be raised. There needs to be space for that roof ramp to be placed. So if you're on dodgy terrain and you try and miss out that high foundation, you are going to break the base. You will have issues placing frames and things around this side of the base, as there's a bit of socket confusion. Just get in the same angle as I do and you'll be able to place them down. You've got your loot room here with, of course, the hidden boxes underneath, and then the other 2 hidden boxes are just part of the corridor simply. Once you get more comfortable building this base and you understand how the bunker works, you'll notice that the triangle frames are not actually needed, and they are purely in place to prevent you guys from placing the triangle floor in the wrong socket and having a bunker that won't open. So if you do want a little bit more secrecy and things to look a little bit less obvious, you can leave out the triangle frames and just make sure you're placing the triangle floor in position that gives it a low stability count. But if that's too confusing, you can leave the guardrails up and ensure that nothing goes wrong. From there, we'll add in that extra triangle. Now we've got 3 out of 3 all going square triangle like that. And we can continue the kind of snake around the base here with all these foundations that we started in the beginning. and just looping all the way around the base. You might have some issues around this side where the socket override is. That's okay, don't worry, just wiggle around. If it's red, make it go blue. I promise it will, as long as you've done the build out the same as me. Do not fear, just a bit of wiggling, and it'll go blue. Once all our foundations are in, the base is looking great. We're going to go from our airlock, and we're going to add in the breach peak. 3 of these in total, symmetrical base by 3 from here on out, so you can do exactly what we just did. Breach peak wise, on the opposite 2 sides. Got the peak to make sure nobody's laddering up, and a couple of angles in and around compound as well. Add in those roofs, looking lovely, nice. 2 more times, let's do it. Keep it coming around this end, getting that breach peak down, getting that turret on top of the foundation. If you have issues with that, then try and remove the conditional of the triangle, the 2 walls there. Try and remove that. And we'll do it one more time on this side as well. Alright, breach peaks are finished off. Now we're going to go in between the breach peaks, and we are going to do a short build out. Try not to mess it up. We're coming out with a couple of triangles here. Square, then a triangle. That's the right build out. Out with 4, capping it off with a triangle. There we go. That's our build out, our total build out. Remove it all except for that last triangle. And we're going to come back with our hexagons until we are pretty near the base, and we're going to repeat that last build out, the initial build out. And that's our 4 squared funneled gatehouse. Very nice, very nice. This will be decaying for some time. We are going to build up the gatehouse, and I'll show you exactly where the connection is. If you're low in materials and you need to rush the connection, I'll show you exactly how to do that. But for just now, we're building up the gatehouse. We're getting the peak on there. We're doing all that good stuff. And next to that, there's a spot for a turret as well. Match up the height here, raise up these frames all the way up. And then from there, we're going to come to the main base part. Remember, we do have a mobility chute here, so don't speed ahead too fast. Mobility chute at the bottom, 2 walls in the middle, windows on top, and then finally frames. And then we can add in that connection. So if you need to rush to that point, it's these 2 roofs glitching inside these 2 frames. So if you want to rush to that point, that's what you got to do. Then from there, throw in your high walls, join them up, close up the gap, 2 high walls to seal it perfectly, and a furnace goes in last, placed from above, to completely seal that off. Once all of the high walls and furnaces are in, you can go ahead and start working on your mobility chutes. 3 of them in total. And we keep going up and up, honeycombing the base and building our mobility chute at the same time. So we get right to our roof level, and we get a final jump up, spot for a locker. Don't forget the ankle biter too, and we'll seal that up at the top. Get our locker to the left of that. And you can seal that up with some floors. Once you've done that, we are going to add an external to this side. It's important to get our externals down kind of quickly, so we're just doing it one side at a time. And then we do a little build out here to get that triangle in the central spot, because the high walls do block that square, unfortunately. So short build out to center up. We are not connecting this to the main base, so just remove that foundation. Do not add any proper connections, just to be clear, that frame does not connect anything. Add in the spot for the turret that I might have forgotten. Extra shop here, and then build out with 4 squares so we can get a disconnectable off of this. 3 triangle external, placing it down, getting it ready to freehand. Make sure we have no conditionals exposed, that's why we have the soft side door frames. Freehanding can be difficult, and if it's not something you got mastered, it's not essential. Just skip it and throw down a normal external. Of course, give it a few tries if you want on the build server, but if you're not getting the hang of it, you don't need to strive for it. A couple of garage doors will do the same job as well. And from there, you can throw your TC in there, reignite the conditionals like so to cover up those gaps. To make sure you've got it in the right spot, you basically want one side to open up and one side not. A short build out returns that back to a triangle, so we can still utilize this disconnectable. And then from there, we can open it up to place in our frames. And our short build out over here is where you would activate the disconnect part. And that's one side of the base done. We're basically going to do the exact same thing 2 more times, focusing more on that high wall placement, the furnace placement, all of that good stuff. Okay, we've done all 3 sides of the base. Now we're going to come up to our 3rd floor and add in some frames for roof and shooting floor. That ramp serves absolutely no purpose, but I think it looks cool. So that's why it's there. If you want to leave it out, you can. But I just think it looks nice. And then from there, do it on all the sides, sealing it up. And then from here we have the split bedroom kind of portion. So one jump up goes through the middle. However, it does not come into contact with the remaining 2 squares. We have our bedrooms here. And then we have 2 extra bedrooms that are purely accessible from roof. And the idea behind that would be that hopefully raiders are going to leave a couple of bedrooms behind while they're on their path to TC. And that will allow you to continue fighting, or at least leave some locker kits behind for a rebuild on day 2. Dropping down for all these extra bedrooms, as I said. And once you've completed all of them, we have 1 more central bedroom around the top. Hopefully that's going to convince raiders that they've collected all the beds above and they don't need to worry about any more respawns. So should give us a little advantage in case people are doing that top down. And then shooting floor goes in like so. We have the 3 triangles coming off of here. And we can't ladder through or fall through that gap, which is great. Half walls in the middle, all the way around this kind of area. And then we will do a breach peak coming off our triangle of the breach peak down the bottom. And then from there, we're done and dusted pretty much. Drop down, raise these frames up, and we'll get that kind of head glitch for our longer angles. Can add in a roof there, and ideally you're going to want it to be a DLC roof, or else you are going to lose out on a little gap there, unfortunately. Head on over at the shop and cop yourself one of the DLCs for that lovely little feature that they come with. And then we just do it 2 more times. Once you've done that, let's add a little bit more chain link in the middle to keep those turrets slightly safer, and a windmill on top. And then once you've done that, that completes the base design. Hopefully you boys and girls have enjoyed this video, and if you did, then please feel free to leave me a like and drop me a comment down below. This base is a banger, and it's a revamp of the older one. Hopefully we're going to see it out there on some servers, and I'm going to see you boys and girls in the next video. See you in a bit.